Hey, thank you. Thank you very, very much. It is great to be here with all of you once again in New Hampshire, where democracy is still alive and well, and every person matters. Now, knowing that New Hampshire has the third largest legislature in the world, I would like to see a show of hands how many of you who are currently serving in the legislature or have served in the legislature. And let us all salute your service in the mosh pit of democracy. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of other people. I'd like to acknowledge Joyce Craig and Jim Donches on their recent success as well, and wish them every success in the fall. And I also want to acknowledge two supporters of my campaign, Alderman Dan O'Neill and Commissioner Paul Martineau, and their success on Tuesday. My fellow Americans here in the Granite State, my name is Martin O'Malley. I am a lifelong Democrat. I am running for President of the United States, and I am running for one reason, and that is to rebuild the truth of the American dream that we share, and I intend to win. Now, over the last 4 weeks, we have witnessed not one, but two unanswered rounds of nationally televised Republican presidential debates, led by that racist, anti-immigrant, carnival barker, Donald Trump. Now, their party once had leaders and visionaries. Lincoln asserted our unity and our common humanity. Eisenhower liberated the world and built our nation's highway system to better connect us. But now Republicans create traffic jams. They denigrate new American immigrants, shut down our federal government, threaten to unfund Planned Parenthood, and they say awful things about women, and they dismiss everything from climate science to vaccines. Well, I say they can have their anger and their fear, but they cannot go unanswered. Anger and fear never built a great country. What our nation needs is new leadership, not new divisions. What our country needs is a new consensus, not new hates. And today, for the progress of our nation and the dream we share, that new leadership must come from the Democratic Party. You see, you and I are part of a living, self-creating mystery called the United States of America. But the promise that's at the heart of that mystery is no abstraction, not some vague idea floating out there somewhere. It is the very real promise, a covenant, if you will, between us as a people, that wherever you start, whatever your parents' background or zip code, you start where you start, but through your own hard work, your own grit, your own talent and determination, you can get ahead. Call it an economy that works for all of us. Call it a country that works for all of us. Call it the American dream. Whatever you call it, the truth of the matter is that it worked very well, didn't it? For 240 years as a country, and it can work again. And the genius of our country, as plainly as I can state it, is this: that we take action in every generation to include more of our people more fully in the economic, the social, and the political life of our nation. This is the genius of American capitalism as well, when it's not rigged, manipulated by the powerful wealthy interests, monopolists, or economic royalists at the expense of small and family-owned businesses. It's about fuller participation, fuller and higher education, the dignity of every person, opportunity for all. This is who we are when we are truly ourselves. Now let me ask all of you a question. Show of hands. How many of you firmly believe that you have enjoyed a better quality of life than your parents and grandparents enjoyed? Raise your hand if that's true for you. Almost every hand. Let me ask you a second and tougher question. How many of you believe just as firmly that your children and your grandchildren will enjoy a better quality of life? Some. And that, my friends, is the central question on this table of democracy that we share. And we must answer that question with hope, with optimism, yes, but most importantly, with action and not words. My campaign is not about digging trenches around those who are already entrenched. It is about us. It is about we the people, progressive champions like John and Mary Rao and Pete Burling, well-respected activists like Don and Pam Jorgensen, and new leaders like Dave Allen and Jay Sertikowski. Now, I am not the only candidate for president who will come before you who holds progressive values, but I am the only candidate for president with 15 years of executive experience as a big city mayor and as a governor, actually turning those progressive values into actions, real results. New leadership, getting things done, solving problems, actions, not words. As mayor and as governor, I forged a new consensus for progress that reduced violent crime to 30-year lows while also reducing our incarceration rate to 20-year lows and repealing the death penalty. Those were actions, not words. While other states tried to cut their way to prosperity, in Maryland instead, I forged a new consensus to increase funding for public education by 37%, making our schools the best in America 5 years in a row. We froze college tuition for 4 years in a row to make college more affordable for more families, became the first state in the nation to pass a living wage. We raised the minimum wage. Those were actions, not words. We passed fair share, and we expanded collective bargaining so that workers could bargain for better wages for all of us. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce named us #1 state in America for innovation and entrepreneurship as we defended the highest median income all the way through the recession. These were actions, not words. And we expanded family leave, and instead of making it harder for people to vote, we actually made it easier for people to vote and passed driver's licenses for new American immigrants. And after the slaughter of the innocent in Newtown, Connecticut, we passed comprehensive gun safety legislation with background checks and a ban on combat assault weapons. These were actions. These were actions, not words. And we also passed the DREAM Act, and we passed marriage equality. And when our Republican brothers and sisters tried to petition it to referendum to defeat it cynically, we took our case of equal justice and human dignity to the people at the polls, and we won by overwhelming margins. Actions, not words. Now, my wife, Katie, and I have 4 great kids. And our oldest daughter, Grace, is a first-grade teacher in Baltimore City public schools. True story. After her father announced for president about 100 days ago, she returned to her first-grade class there at Walter P. Carter Elementary. Adorable, eager to learn, 100% African-American kids. And a little girl came up to her. There was a buzz in the classroom. And she tugged her by the sleeve and she said, "Miss O'Malley, I'm not so sure about this idea of your father running for president, because quite frankly, I kind of like Barack Obama." Well, a lot of us like Barack Obama. We have come a long way since the Wall Street crash and the Bush recession of 2008. When our country teetered on the brink of a second Great Depression, we elected a new leader in Barack Obama to move our country forward, and that is exactly what President Obama has done. And the good news is this. Our country has now created 66 months in a row of positive month-over-month job creation, and that is the good news. Our country is doing better, and that's the good news that these unanswered Republican debates are keeping the American people from hearing. But we elected a president, didn't we? Not a magician. And no one person can fix in just 8 years the bad economic policies of the prior 30 years. We still have work to do. For the hard truth of our times is this: 70% of us are earning the same or less than we were 12 years ago. And that is not how our economy is supposed to work. That is not how our country is supposed to work. And that's the first time that's happened this side of World War II. There is, in other words, a growing injustice in our country and economic inequality that threatens to tear us apart. Wealth and power have become so concentrated in the hands of so very few that it is actually taking opportunity out of the homes and the neighborhoods of the many. And this did not happen by accident. Powerful, wealthy special interests have used our government to create in our own country an economy that is slowly leaving a majority of our people behind. Look how far we've strayed from the choices of our parents and grandparents. My dad went to college on a GI Bill. And then 50 years ago, the average employee at General Motors could send a kid to college, get this, average employee could send a kid to college for a year's tuition on just 2 weeks' wages. Today, we're saddling a whole generation of our kids with a mountain of debt, the likes of which no other developed nation on the planet does. And meanwhile, last year, alone on Wall Street, bonuses totaled more than all the earnings of every American working at minimum wage combined. This is not the American dream. This is not how our economy is supposed to work, and this is not how our country is supposed to work. In tougher times than these, Franklin Roosevelt told us not to be afraid. In changing times, John Kennedy told us that to govern is to choose. I say to you, progress is a choice. Job creation is a choice. Whether we give our children a future with less opportunity or a future of more opportunity, this too is a choice. And to succeed again, we must only return to our true selves and remember that our economy is not money. It is people. It is all of our people. A stronger middle class is not the consequence of economic growth. A stronger middle class is the cause of economic growth. No American family that works hard and plays by the rules should have to raise their children in poverty. Therefore, we must take action together to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, however and wherever we can. We must return to the economic justice of paying overtime pay for overtime work, and we must make it easier for workers to join labor unions and bargain collectively for better wages for all of us. Isn't that right, firefighters? We must advance the cause of equal pay for equal work and paid family leave so that women can participate fully in the economic life of our nation. Because sing it with me, people, when women succeed, America succeeds. 3 weeks ago, I put forward 15 strategic goals to rebuild the American dream that we share. Increasing net median wealth of American families by at least $25,000 within 10 years, making wages go up by 4% a year within 4 years, full employment for American veterans, taking big money out of our politics by implementing publicly financed congressional elections within 5 years. Reducing deaths from overdoses by 25% by 2020, making national service a universal option for every young person in America. And instead of cutting Social Security, we need to expand Social Security. Do we want to make wages go up for all Americans? Then let us bring 11 million of our neighbors out of the off-the-books underground shadow economy by passing comprehensive immigration reform. The enduring symbol of our nation, Donald Trump, is not the barbed wire fence, it is the Statue of Liberty. So let us take the actions necessary to make debt-free college degrees a reality for every family within 5 years. I am the first candidate in the Democratic Party, and let us hope not the last, to put forward a plan to move our country forward to a 100% clean electric energy grid by 2050 and create 5 million jobs along the way. These are the ambitions that are worthy of a great people. But none of these things can be accomplished by words alone. They all will require action and new leadership. Why new leadership? Because there are also a couple of things that as a country and as a party, we need to stop doing. First among them, we must stop giving a free pass to the bullies and the big banks of Wall Street to run roughshod over the common good of the American people. You tell me how it is that not a single Wall Street CEO was ever convicted of a single crime related to the 2008 economic meltdown. Not a single one. What have we come to as a country that you can get pulled over for having a broken tail light, but if you wreck the nation's economy, you're totally untouchable? We must reinstate Glass-Steagall, and we must prosecute financial crimes. And if a bank is too big to fail and too big to jail and too big to manage, then it's too damn big and it needs to be broken up before it breaks us up. The second thing we need to stop doing as a party and as a country is to stop sending American jobs and profits overseas with bad trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Many of us remember NAFTA. We traded away good manufacturing jobs, and in return, we got back empty promises and empty pockets. I am fundamentally, adamantly opposed as an American to secret trade deals that our Congress is forced to vote on before we're even allowed as citizens to read them. It's not what the other countries are doing to us. It's what we are not doing for ourselves. We need to build up our own American economy. America's role in the world is to lead by example, the cause of a rising global middle class, free from oppression, free from hunger and want, free from fear. The images of the humanitarian refugee crisis in Syria that all of us have seen, that little boy's body washing up on a beach, parents running for their lives with their kids in their arms. Those images tell us that as a nation we can and must do better if we are to have any credibility as a moral leader among nations. And our own policies of forcibly detaining women and children refugees in for-profit detention camps on our southern border tells us we are not living up to our principles, even here at home. We can, and we must bring forward new thinking in the conduct of our foreign policy as a nation. We can and we must forge new alliances for a more effective and far-seeing national security strategy that takes action to reduce threats before we get lured into military actions or other actions that might diminish us as a nation. All of these things are connected, and all of these things depend on our making ourselves stronger at home. They depend on the choices we make, the better choices because of our concern and care for one another as Americans, because of the compassion we have for the larger family of humanity of which we are a part. The poet laureate of the American dream, Bruce Springsteen, once asked, "Is a dream a lie if it don't come true? Or is it something worse?" Whether or not the American dream is made a living reality again for our children and grandchildren really isn't about the big banks. It's not even about the big money that seeks to take over our politics. It's about us. You period, S period. It's about you and me. And it's about whether we still have the ability, the desire, the grit, and the determination to forge a new consensus for American progress. I believe we do, and I am betting that you believe it as well. We are a good people. We are a compassionate people, and we are a generous people. We stand on the threshold of a new era of American progress. Together, we must take the necessary actions to walk through that door. Yes, I know that it's a tough fight. And yes, I know that there are many among us who say that we face tough odds. I never bet against America. And you know what? I kind of like tough fights. Maybe it's the toughness of the fight. It's the way the hidden God lets us know that we're actually fighting for something that's worth saving. The American dream is worth saving. Our children's future is worth saving. Our country is worth saving. This planet is worth saving. And the Democratic Party is up to this fight. For ours is the party of the people, ours is the party of action, and ours is the only party today that can rebuild the American dream and make the promise real for all Americans again. I need your help in this fight. May God bless the people of New Hampshire. God bless America. Thank you very, very much.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.